The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 5th day of February 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Simone Vaughn will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Happy Wednesday to everyone. It is the middle of the traditional work week. How's everyone feeling? David Michael Wilson says, wonderful Wednesday to all. Yeah, how's everybody feeling today? How are you feeling? Is everyone happy? It's hump day, as they call it. Everyone feeling good? Here's the thing. We're one Wednesday closer to the general election, so that's a good thing, right? No? Yeah? Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Wednesday, Jamel and Simone, and an awesome Wednesday to you as well, Suzanne. Anybody else happy it's Wednesday? How are you feeling? You've made it through, well, you've almost made it, halfway through the traditional work week. If you love what you do for a living, give us some love in the audience. If you love what you do for a living, give us a heart. If you love what you do, give us a heart. Oh no, Shawnette Bell says she's homesick. Well, we're sending her warm and comforting thoughts. Hope you feel better soon, Shawnette. Kenton Trott says, good morning on this wonderful Wednesday, indeed. And he said he gives a heart. He loves what he does. Anyone else, if you love what you do, give us a heart in the comments. Love what you do, give us a heart. Look, let's be real. A lot of people go to work just because they have to make a living. They don't go because they love what they do, and fair game. But when you go to work to make a living and love what you do, it's that much better. Trust me. Ebony Souza loves what she does. There you go. Suzanne Ingham loves what she does. We love that. Who else loves what they do? Give it to us. Let's see who else loves what they do. Let me hear it for you. Helene Swan. Yup, I love what I do. Rashida Godwin loves what she does. Who else? Anybody else out there? Michelle White over on LinkedIn loves what she does. This is what I'm talking about. We love to see it. And again, no disrespect to those who just go to work to make a living. It's not easy finding something you love to do in this time, right? Sometimes we just have to do what we have to do. Rashida Godwin says, I wholeheartedly love what I do. And we love the fact that you love what you do, Sister Rashida. Let's go. Manuela John also loves what she does. Okay. I love it. I love to see it. All right. So glad to see that we have so many people in the audience who love what they do, but greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome former Member of Parliament John Barritt onto the show. The daily play is music. Yeah, music. So I think you all enjoy music. We're going to take you back a bit with this. Not too far back, but we'll take you back. So hopefully everyone gets the answer. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, let's jump into the conversation, folks. This morning, as I stated, we are one day closer to this year's general election. So the question today, or questions, What's something? Okay, let me preface by saying there was something going around where I guess the roads on Loyal Hill were being paved, and you see things happening in certain constituencies, and people are like, you can tell it's election season. All this last minute work getting done, right? That said, since the government or PLP as government is so generous this time, around this time, what's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? What's something, is it the roads paved in your area? Is it 2-day trash pickup? This is a time where, they're given what people want because they want to vote, right? What's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? And also, have you already decided what you will do on election day? Have you already decided? You don't have to tell us what, but have you already decided? Like, does it matter if someone canvasses or markets to you? What are your thoughts? Well, I'm interested in hearing what you all have to say about that. We've got, real quickly, go back to the other question. We've got Tamara De Silva, sorry, says, I enjoy working in customer service. It isn't always easy, but definitely fulfilling service. We appreciate you, Tamara De Silva, especially if we know how customers can be these days. So thank you for what you do. All right, audience, question of the morning. What do you say? What's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? What is something you'd like to see done? Since the government seems so giving right now, what's something you'd like to see done? Paved roads. They're doing chopping trees down, and how they come. You know what it is. What would you like to see done? Anika DeShields says they're cutting back the roadside overgrowth now. Okay, see, Bermuda's going to be pretty by the 18th of February. It's going to look good. Traveling Trotty says all parks, including railways, are to be maintained. So you would like to see that done. I wonder, Maya did a story a couple of years ago about the bathrooms at some of the beach parks. And, it'd be a great time to fix those up, right? What else, audience? What's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? But also, have you already decided what you'll do on election day? Like, have you decided whether you're going to vote, not vote, spoil your ballot, not, vote for one party or the other or independent? Like, have you decided? Has your decision already been made? You don't have to tell us what the decision is, but just trying to get an idea of, for me personally, I voted in the US election in November, and my decision was made kind of early because you kind of knew where the candidate stood kind of early, right? I don't think much changed between when both candidates were officially the candidates and the election day, right? So it's kind of easy in that stance. But again, we're all different. You all may wait till you see every person you're eligible to vote for in your constituency before you make a decision. I don't know. But have you already decided what you'll do on election day? And also, what's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? By the way, this daily discussion is brought to you by our friends at Titan and Secure. Yeah, Titan and Secure. These are our friends right here.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right. So again, thanks again to Titan and Secure, folks. If you're looking for transportation needs around the island, or you have some trucking needs, make sure you give them both a shout. What's something you'd like to see done prior to election day? And have you decided what you'll do on election day? We've got, let's see. I will vote, says Anika DeShields. Kelly Clark Medeiros says roads and yes, bathrooms. So she'd like to see. Anika DeShield says pave the roads next. We've also got Kelly Clark Medeiros says increase mental health benefits. Okay. Some things we'd like to see. Paulie Rich says roads paved, sorry, trees trimmed and maintained. Yes, I have decided what I will do on election day. Janet Maynard says, I have made my decision. Okay. James Jones, what we're going to do today is we're going to block you from ever coming on the show again. The reason we're going to do that is I have no problem with what you say. I have a problem with punk ass idiots like you who hide their names. That's not your real name. You don't have a picture up. So we're not going to allow you to infiltrate. And though I did not vote for Donald Trump, even if I did, what's your problem? So let's say goodbye to everyone. Let's say a big goodbye to James. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Hey, goodbye. Yeah, so he's blocked. We're going to block that guy. We don't deal with anonymous people. You can go on the Royal Gazette, Bird News, or wherever you want, but that's not what we do here. All right. Let's go to Michelle White. Says continued road paving. All bus stops with solar lightings. Mine is dark when time changes. More regular road cleaning, trash collection on 2 days. You think that'll happen before the election, though? You think? I mean, I'm with you, like in terms of things I would like to see, Michelle. But I don't know. That's a lot asking of these guys. I mean, road paves, they seem like they'll do some of that stuff. Hadley and Swan says, I'm definitely voting and very excited to vote. Congratulations to you, Hadley and Swan. We've got Traveling Trotty says at John Smith Bay yesterday morning, and the bathroom first thing in the morning was dirty. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. We will, let's see, Tamara De Silva says, we'll definitely be voting. I would like to see more programs for the students who are struggling with learning disabilities. Okay, I can dig it. And I think we actually deserve some answers regarding education and students. I do. NTS, yeah, we had to give them a song. Bye. Yeah, peace to that person. Janet Maynard says, my trees have been cut, but not by government, by a kind neighbor. Is it? I'm being like genuine here. Is it government's responsibility to cut trees? Like, is that part of it? Like, who controls is that like agriculture and fisheries? Am I saying it correct? Egg and fish. They still call them that, right? Is that what they do? I will say, you know, I've said it on this show previously as well that when I was work at Bermuda Tourism and we would bring people from familiarization trips, and many travel professionals were very experienced with Bermuda and selling of Bermuda. And one of the things that always came up was how pristine the island was, right? I don't mean to be critical of the government per se or agriculture and fisheries, but I don't think any of us, if we're being honest, would say that the island is still in a pristine state. So my hope is that there was a key word that Traveling Trotty used earlier where she said maintained, right? Whatever changes the government makes right now, leading up to an election, our hope is that this can be maintained. Like, don't just do it because there's an election. That's the hope, right? What else, audience? What are your thoughts? What else? What else do you have? You know, again, are you like, is there something in your constituency, not just like in your constituency, but also on a national level, on an island-wide level? Is there something that you would like to see done prior to election day? And also, have you already decided what you'll do on election day? Have you already decided what you'll do on election day? We've got Suzanne Ingham says, yes, I will be voting. I'd still like to chat with each candidate, but my mind is pretty much made up. Trees on the roadside need to be cut back regularly. Well, you said you'd still like to chat with each candidate. How many candidates do you have in your constituency, and how many have you spoken to? I'd like to know. Malachi Troy says, works and engineering maintain public land. Okay, thank you for that. So works and engineering, are they like, they're different from egg and fish? So what do agriculture and fisheries do? I'm curious. Anika DeShield says, health insurance reform to support holistic medical service providers who do use prescription medication to reverse ailments. Okay. Malachi Troy says, I find it crazy that we are only able to get things done before an election. We need consistency. I agree. Again, I was fascinated to see, I think it was a poster with someone running in the Loyal Hill area, stating roads are being paved and so on. And look, someone said this to me after 2020, that the people are the voters and we get the government we deserve. We get the government that we elect, that we vote for, right? And if that's to be true, then it's on us whether or not we're okay with anyone seeking political office giving us something right before they need us or need our vote, right? Again, I'm not trying to sway anyone either way, but this has been a tactic in politics for years and years and years, right? Give them something right before an election so that we sway them. I hope that's not the case. And I hope that whoever people choose to vote for is truly down to what you believe they can do over a period of time, not just because they need your vote. If you choose to vote for the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, I hope it's because you truly believe that not only have they done a good job, that you think they can do an even better job. If you choose not to vote for them, I hope it's because you believe that someone else can do a better job. But I truly hope it's not down to, trinkets and things waved before you today, and you forget what was done prior to today over the last 4 years. All right, audience, what's something you'd like to see done prior to Election Day? And have you already decided what you'll do on Election Day? Janet Maynard said, the trees are on public land. Got you. So, okay, thank you for that. Malachi Troy says, Department of Environmental and Natural Resources are the people that give the farmers and fishermen a hard time to survive. Okay. Oh, they're not called egg and fish anymore. Okay. Traveling Trotty says, ANF, Egg and Fish Parks, they oversee the parks to her understanding. And then we've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He says, I have 4 candidates and I have only spoken to 1 thus far. I wonder who his 4 candidates are. Anika DeShield says, correction, holistic medical services that don't use traditional medication as their initial treatment. Yes, I thought that's what you meant, but I was not trying to put words in your mouth. But thank you for clarifying. Audience, yeah, this is going to be interesting. I do wonder, Mark, you've only spoken to 1 of the 4 candidates in your area, but have you already made your decision? I'm interested. Yeah, just a quick yes or no, audience. Have you already made your decision on who you will vote for on Election Day? Yes or no? Have you already decided? Yes or no? Have you decided? Yes or no? Just a quick yes or no. Have you decided who you'll vote for? Yes or no? I just want to gauge some interest as to whether you've decided. We've got Mikai Johansson says yes. Malachi Troy says yes. We've got Shawnette Bell says no. Manuela John said no. Mark C. Phillips says yes, I have made my decision. Marquita Lee says no. You know what? Regardless of what someone says, yes or no, even if someone says yes, until that day, every person seeking the vote of you has an opportunity to change your mind. As far as those who said no, if I'm a politician, I'm looking. Let me see. Is Sean up the mic? Is Manuel John? Is Mark off? I am literally taking your names and I'm going to reach out to see what I can do to earn your vote. Why? Because at the end of the day, I cannot afford to dismiss anyone's feelings or their vote. Nicole Walker also says no. Hadley and Swan says, that's an easy yes. Kenton Trott says, yes, I have. And Paulie Rich says, yes. Audience. Nothing can change. I do wonder, for all those who said yes, if there's anything that can change their mind. anything that can change their mind. And again, I don't know who you're choosing to vote for, but I do wonder if there's anything that can change your mind. Folks, if you've just joined us, make sure you give us a like, a love, follow, share. If you're on whatever platform, maybe X, LinkedIn, Facebook, make sure you repost it, retweet it, reshare it, share it in your WhatsApp groups, your family, your friends, your colleagues. We're going to bring Simone Vaughn in for the Daily Hour news break. After that, we have, he was actually the first leader of the OBA. He was the interim leader before the election took place between Craig Kenneneer and Bob Richards. A lot of people don't remember that, but we've got John Barritt, former member of parliament, coming on the show. So stick with us. First, let's bring Simone in, see what she's got in the Daily Hour news break. Hello.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Happy wonderful Wednesday.
How are you feeling today? You sound very chipper.
Oh, yes, it's probably the green tea I had, gives you a boost of energy.
Oh, that's what I need. Okay. Oh, leave that CBD drink alone in the morning, Jamal. I'm joking. I'm joking, folks. I'm joking. I don't need you to go tell my doctor your boy's on that stuff. But no, I'm happy to see that. So it's hump day, Simone. Are you happy about hump day?
Yes, I'm happy to be alive another day, another day to meet people, talk to people, and just be alive.
She likes talking to people. I hide from you all in public. I got to ask you, though, this is your first time voting, right? Have you decided who you're going to vote for already, or you're still taking applications?
No, I have not decided between the two candidates that I have in my constituency.
All righty. Okay. She's got two. That's easy for her, folks. She's only got two. Come to think of it, I think of everyone on TDH, I think you're in the same constituency as Mia, Teo, and Teray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, wow. I think, you're in constituency 31 or 32.
No,
or
26.
30. Huh?
26.
26? Hold on. Who that? Hold on. That's Navatero and is it?
Yeah.
It is. See, I'm right. Navatero and dang, I know the
Kern. The Kern is the other guy.
Oh, sorry, bro. I don't know you like that. I don't know you like that. All right, so you're not in that one. Okay, so you're in that one. Okay, cool. Man, Navatero be sweeping up that because that's former Premier Dr. Ewart Brown's old area, and also former PLP leader Mark Bean was in that area prior to Mr. Terrell. So, well, hope your vote counts, whatever way you go. Anyway, what you got in the news today?
So today's news break is brought to you by People's Pharmacy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Unfortunately, last night there was another road incident. Here's the update on that. Footage is courtesy of TNN.
There was a serious road collision that occurred yesterday night on February 4th. The accident occurred in the Crawl Hill, Hamilton Parish area. Details regarding the state of injuries to persons involved have not been disclosed as of yet. No casualties are confirmed. Responding officers are continuing an ongoing investigation into the incident.
I hope everyone's great, but that looks like someone was turning into Redner Estate as going up Crow Hill. And why I picked that out is my late mom. I remember when I was young, she was turning into Redner Estate right there, same exact spot, and got in a collision. Someone, didn't see her indicator. We call them indicators still, right? Or blinker, whatever. Mm-hmm. They didn't see it on, and guy basically came through the back of the car. So, I hope everyone's safe, and just folks, as I say all the time, be cautious, courteous, and careful.
Yes, very much so. So next we have in our stories, health is wealth, taking care of our bodies. It's important that we take care of ourselves, not only during the winter as it is now, but all year round. So when suspected illnesses going around like the measles, we have already adequately prepped our immune systems. And yes, I said the measles. Here is the latest update from the Ministry of Health. Footage is courtesy of their website.
The Ministry of Health's Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit is currently investigating a suspected case of the measles. Measures are being taken through identifying and notifying persons who might have been exposed to this suspected individual. The measles is highly contagious and timely responses are being implemented to contain a possible outbreak. The Ministry of Health is urging everyone who has not taken the measles, mumps, and rubella MMR vaccines to follow 3 key guidances. First, check your vaccination status. Second, recognize symptoms. And third, consult healthcare providers.
Do people, just serious question, audience, is it still normal to like vaccinate children for measles, mumps, and what's the other one? I can't, the R1, MMR. Like, is it normal, or do we not vaccinate anymore? Yes or no from the audience? Because I know, I mean, I was too young to make the decision myself, but I know my mom got me vaccinated. So I was just wondering, because I thought measles outbreaks were a thing of the past.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know, because I know I as well had all my vaccines, when I was little. You needed them to be in school. So
Right. There were rules. I mean, if you went to college as a Bermudian to the US, I know you had to have shots and stuff. So just interested in terms of if that's still a thing or not.
Right. So next we are in the month of February, and the general election is only 13 days away now. Parties and independents have been heavily canvassing and campaigning to voters. The POP recently posted on their Instagram saying, "The only way to protect Bermudians is to vote POP." Here is the post for reference and what some citizens had to say about what Bermudians are looking for from their government.
From what I can see, for what the changes that have been made to the public, I know that PLP has been nominated, numerous amount of times before, and promises of change to be made. I do know that they are a group that does support the people and probably try to the best of their ability to make changes, but I don't think enough changes are being implemented enough to make Bermudians content. We still have, housing problems. We still have a lot of people that are without jobs. We still have, even for our island, the roads and certain things that should be a priority. This is our home and this is where we're from. I think it needs to be protected.
23 square miles, why is it such a struggle?
Yeah, so I do think, positive change needs to be made this year and not just words. So I'm supporting whatever party is going to make the most change.
Oh, well, those young people have spoken.
Yeah, they sure have. And not only talking to them in the streets, people are sharing their opinions on social media, as it gives people the opportunity and space to state their opinions and interact with others. I posted a poll on my Instagram asking how people are feeling after nomination day. Here are the results.
Nomination day has passed. Various persons have shed some light on how they feel after the occasion. Out of everyone who participated in the poll, 60% are optimistic, while 40% are doubtful. Half of the persons feeling doubtful are Bermudian students away at university who will not be able to vote in the election. Half of the people feeling optimistic are Bermudians currently living on island who have the opportunity to exercise their right to vote.
Man, people have no hope. That's unfortunate. People are hopeless.
Yeah, from the demographic that I interact with, this is how some people are feeling. So their voices are being heard.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So for the weather today, we can expect mostly clear skies with the highest temperature reaching 67 degrees and the lowest temperature reaching 61 degrees. There will be slightly windy conditions throughout the morning, making it feel a little cooler. However, the wind should ease up throughout the remaining of the day.
All righty. Thank you for that, madam. Well, in the U.S., it's National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Yeah, it was established in 1987 in the United States. So, in honor of National Girls and Women in Sports Day, audience, who is your favorite woman athlete of all time? Simone, do you have a favorite woman athlete of all time?
Flojo.
Okay, and it's interesting because that is pretty much one of the people who is recognized as one of the reasons they celebrate, along with Wilma Rudolph. But audience, Who is one of your favorite woman athletes of all time? We've got Debbie Jones Hunter. Debbie Jones Hunter says Traveling Trotty. We've got NTS says Venus Williams. Okay, Venus Williams. All right, who else? Who else? Favorite woman athlete of all time. Who you got, audience? Who you got? Nicole Walker says Serena. Just one word, Serena. We've got Renee Williams says Simone Biles. Okay, Simone Biles.
I like her. My namesake.
Yeah, you know, there's so many to choose from. But what's the Jamaican sprinter?
Shelly Ann.
Shelly Ann Fraser Price. That, man, she's been timeless. I would say she's definitely one of my favorites. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, Katora Horton, Parent Chief, and Hazel Clark. Debbie is my childhood crush. No, Charles. No. We're not here to get in, create no domestic situations up in here, brother. But okay, pretty cool answer, Simone. We've got someone, Traveling Trotty, asking, what is your Instagram? Well, I think she means you, Simone, not Simone Biles.
Okay. Well, my Instagram handle is sim, SIM .social, SOCIAL. I spelled that right, _.
All right. sim.social_. Okay. All right. Well, Simone, you have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
All right, folks, we've got John Barritt, former member of Parliament, coming up after this break. Do not go anywhere. Thanks again to Titan and Secure, making sure that they are supporting your daily discussion every day we do this show. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 42 seconds with John Barritt. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic and waterproof shoes. We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone. With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talk and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Micro Loan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
The One Bermuda Alliance is committed to securing Bermuda's future. We believe the island can return to the prosperous place it once was for everyone. The only way to do this is through fiscal responsibility and creating opportunities for residents to thrive. We envision a Bermuda where our young people are valued and will want to build their futures. We are a team of diverse Bermudians who bring a depth of expertise across industries. We have what it takes to turn Bermuda around. Vote OBA on February 18th.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. We've got a very special guest today. Again, if you don't remember Mr. Barritt, he was the first leader, the first leader of the One Bermuda Alliance when they went from the BDA and UBP, they combined, and then an internal election was held between Bob Richards and the premier, eventual premier, Craig Kennener. But let's give a warm TDH welcome to Mr. John Barritt, former member of parliament with the United Bermuda Party and the interim leader when the One Bermuda Alliance was first formed. Give him a warm TDH welcome, audience. Greetings, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Pretty good. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day here.
Well, Simone gave us that much. But first off, before we get into anything, I got to ask you, who was your favorite woman athlete of all time?
I was tumbling through my mind thinking about that, and I've got to say probably in tennis and the Williams sisters. I'm not sure I decide between the two of them, but they were tremendous athletes who made a tremendous impact in tennis.
All righty. I think a consensus from the audience, definitely the Williams sisters. I actually did not know that much about them, like their story, until I saw the movie with Will Smith to get an understanding. I mean, they had no childhood. They were like brutally training so hard. So glad that they saw the rewards of what they put in.
They showed what can be done.
Absolutely.
What could be done by people who would otherwise you'd think be disadvantaged and in that
Correct.
sport and in that sport.
Correct. Well, sir, again, thank you for coming on and having a conversation with us. Before we jump right into it, you left politics, I think, in 2011. What have you been up to? Tell us what retirement's like for someone who leaves politics behind. Not all it's cracked up to be, I can tell you that. The most important thing you want to do is keep active. And I've tried to keep active. I'm a former journalist in an earlier lifetime, and I kept my hand in writing, doing a column in the newspaper. But then I moved on to other things, and family is one of them, Jamal. I have to tell you, with 4 grandchildren, I could give them more time than I gave my own children, and it was very, very happy to do that. But I've also, since I got out of politics, I accepted an appointment as chairman of the Bermuda Housing Trust, which has 5 properties in Bermuda that we rent to seniors at the best rates possible. And we never raise the rent on a sitting tenant. That's our policy. And I have managed to maintain that position or keep that position, having been appointed by the OBA under the Progressive Labor Party and the current minister, Colonel Birch. And I've always thought that's the way things ought to be done when it comes to giving people a service and fulfilling a service that needs to be filled without getting into politics. Indeed. Absolutely, sir. And audience, if you have any questions for Mr. Barritt, please send them through. We'll get through as many comments and questions as possible. Let's jump to politics. Let's jump right into it. Mr. Barritt, you just said that, you're giving your grandchildren more time than probably your children had. Part of that is because you dedicated so much of your life to politics and being a servant for the people. But when you look at, where Bermuda is today, how do you feel about its current state? How do you feel about the current state of Bermuda? I think we're at a crossroads, as a lot of the world is, in terms of what's happening with the economy, with economies, I should say, and world trade. And we've seen a new president, well, he's not entirely new, but a new president in a sense taken over from Biden. With all that he has planned, both predictable and unpredictable. And I think most of us are right to be concerned about what impact that's going to have on Bermuda, because as you know, Jamal, we're 20 square miles in the middle of the ocean. Our motto is where the fates take us, and we've got to navigate, and we've been successful over the years navigating world trends and developing the island. But we've got to keep our eye on that for sure. Indeed. Let's go a bit more into the before we move on, you just mentioned something. There's been a lot of talk on social media, not really addressed by government, but you mentioned President Trump, not by name. But people keep talking about tariffs, how these tariffs may impact Bermuda. Well, Bermudian people already feel stressed about the current economy. I mean, should we be fear what may become? Your thoughts?
Fear isn't perhaps the right word, but concerned, I think, is what we ought to be. And we ought not to take anything for granted. We've seen what happened with supply chains with COVID. I think those who keep an eye on the world, and we do through cable, through cable television and satellite and being able to watch world news events, that we see what's developing in the eastern side of the world in terms of a new alliance between Russia and China particularly, but they're joined by India as well. Some of the bigger economies in terms of consumption as well, never mind production. And that is going to have an impact. I think we're going to see a shift in who produces what and who trades with whom and at what favorable prices. And Mr. Trump, I think, is trying to, and I'm going to be as even-handed as I can be here, is trying to make America great again by bringing more businesses on shore and making America more self-sufficient and less reliant on others for not only for goods, but for energy and other things. And that could have an impact on us as he goes about doing this and on prices, because most of what we consume is imported. Right. And I think, and this is just my personal opinion, a keen eye has to be kept because we are perhaps the reinsurance capital of the world. And we deal in a lot of international finance. If Mr. Trump and his people turn their eye to this and they say, look, we want this business to come back on shore. We want this business to be operating out of America. Well, his attitude towards international agreements and international precedent and tradition. And he may well decide that he's going to do all he can to make life difficult for these companies and others who operate elsewhere so that they come back on shore, and he may well make it a tax incentive as well. So nothing can be taken for granted, I think, going forward.
I think that was very clear, and I really do hope that people are asking those seeking their vote who are out canvassing them, ask them about these things. I know that, as we speak to people on this show leading up to the election, some issues seem within the constituency and some seem island-wide. But I think that's something I really do hope people are asking about, because it's serious. It's something that we should definitely be looking at and taking seriously. We all have access to this information, so it shouldn't surprise us. We shouldn't be caught off guard if it does go that route. Let's go to the politics. Now, it was rumored, you can confirm yay or nay, it was rumored that in 2020, you were canvassing with the then PLP candidate, Vance Campbell in C9.
Oh, well, that's not a rumor. That was a fact.
Okay.
I worked with Vance at the Bermuda Housing Trust, and when I was appointed chairman, and he had previously been appointed by the Progressive Labor Party as deputy chairman, and he was a Progressive Labor Party member. He and I had a conversation, and he said, John, I'm going to continue to work. This is an important body of work that we do, and I'm happy to work with you even though you're chairman. And over the years, I got to know Vance as someone who works hard, who is diligent, who does fit the mold of public servant. So when he ran again for the third time, and Trevor Munnis had stepped down, a former colleague of mine in the United Bermuda Party, Vance and I had a conversation. I said, good luck. And I said, do you need help? And he said, yes. I said, well, I'd be prepared to come out and speak on your behalf on the doorstep with people because I know you. Right. And you'd make a good member of parliament. And so labels, parties, I put that to one side. I knew the man.
So what are your thoughts since then on him crossing the floor?
That came as a complete surprise to me, I have to tell you, and I told Vance as well, and we had a subsequent conversation. And I understood some of his reasoning for it. I didn't entirely agree. I told him that, but he is his own man, and he now has standing in that constituency. Heck, he ran there 2 times and lost before he won. So he doesn't necessarily need me. to hold his hand this time around. And believe me, before this election came up, I had serious doubts about whether I wanted to be out canvassing in any event, because it is arduous, I have to tell you.
Indeed. Thank you for that clarification. Moving on, there's been what's been reported as a record number of independent candidates running in this election. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the most commonly used word I find in talking with people, and people do talk to me about it, that's one of the things, is not just a former politician, but as I describe myself, a recovering politician. The word that's used a lot, and maybe overused, is interesting. This is going to be an interesting election where there are over 100 candidates. 10 constituencies, I think, have 4 candidates to choose from. And on the other hand, there are 8 that only have 2, which is the way it used to be. And I think people are going to have to decide, where they want to put their X, and they're going to have more choice. But there's a lot at play here, in my mind, in any event. In politics, there's always what I call the pendulum swing. Any government finds there's usually drag. When there are problems, when there are issues, the people who get blamed first are government, because government didn't do this or do that. So there's that factor at play, and that's going to come into play, I think. And I think also there is a growing, not just in Bermuda, but worldwide, disenchantment with politics and disillusionment. And if you look at the voter turnout in the last elections, it's been descending. From in 2003, 77% of the registered voters turned out. In 2007, it went to 75%, not a big drop. In 2012, down to 70%. And in 2020, it was down to 55%. Now, granted, that was what I call the COVID election. But turnout is going to be a big factor. And I don't know how excited people are. And Simone put up a little mini poll that showed the number of people who aren't hopeful. And people, I think, develop the attitude, it don't matter who you put in, nothing's going to change. And you get a lot of that. And I'm not sure there has been a great deal of excitement outside the party, the bases of each party, for this particular election, coming as it did as a kind of surprise before the budget and when students are away. And I think most people thought we were going to have a spring or summer election.
Yeah.
So it's come as a bit of a surprise, and it'll be interesting to see. But Jamal, look, they say a day is a long time in politics, and we've got just under 2 weeks now before the actual voting date. And a lot can happen in that period of time. And what I mean by that, well, I think you'll see the campaigns pick up. Today, we've seen it already. The OBAs come out strongly against independents. You vote for an independent, you're wasting your vote. And last night on TV, the former Premier Michael Dunkley was on there with John Swan, separate interviews, but both, one saying, don't waste your vote on an independent. And John Swan's explaining why a vote for an independent would be a good thing. And so there are going to be other things like this that develop that are going to may cause some people to change their mind. And if they haven't, or if they've made up their mind already, and others will help make up their mind. And as well, there are things and the other thing that happens in campaigns too, never intentionally, of course, are mistakes that the others will seize upon.
Well,
and cane you for that.
Well, let's talk about mistakes, because there have been a couple of editorials in the Royal Gazette in particular about own goals, right?
Yes.
It was the announcement of a candidate who spent time in prison for a crime where someone lost their life, and the family responded with, they were pretty upset. But the big one seems to be the unveiling of Michael Fay as a candidate. I mean, how do you feel as a former politician? You understand politics, right? I mean, how do you feel about that? Does this hurt them, hinder them? Do you see the strategy by the OBA? Because from what some people say, oh, they're just making it easy for the PLP.
and I think that's the current thinking as well. And the immediate reaction, I think, is it firms up the base of the PLP and firms up the base of the OBA. I think the announcement of Michael Fay as a candidate came as a surprise, perhaps even to some OBA people, and it came at the last minute, which was odd as well. that Susan Jackson was stepping down. That was announced, I think, just on the eve of the election. And I understood she, in fact, had signaled she was going to resign well before Christmas. And that's a safe seat. And you would have thought that there would have been a great deal of care in selecting that candidate. So that is something, given what the PLP are able to associate, and not unreasonably associate Michael Fay with in the past as the minister responsible for immigration and the pathways to status.
Mm.
But that's not the only mistake. I mean, there have been some other stumbles. I mean, I think the Vic Ball one as well, where he didn't get the seat that Vance holds, that he switched over, and it's unfortunate the way that played out. You would have thought that they would have done all they could to keep Vic Ball in the camp, given that he'd been a soldier for that party, particularly in writing columns in the newspaper. But here he is, pops up as an independent. And perhaps not surprisingly, he knew what was coming when he decided to run in 20, which is where Michael Fay was subsequently announced as a candidate. And that draws more attention to that. And then there's the former chairman and candidate for the OBA, Justin Mathias, and what he felt or wrote in the newspaper. These are things that people that don't go unnoticed, and sometimes become a factor in how people vote, how people perceive. Let's put it as, first of all, each party.
So what do you? Okay, and again, feel free not to answer. But does this come down to the leadership of the party? Does it come down to PR marketing? Like what creates this situation where, like with the PLP, you can speak about their track record. With the OBA, you can speak about their track record. But also, I feel like they have constantly given ammunition to the PLP. And then when they've given it to the PLP, they haven't tried to defend themselves, if that makes sense.
I think it comes down to both. Your question was, does it come down to leadership or PR messaging? And it comes down to both. Let's go back to the one we started this conversation with, the selection of Kellum Lewis as a candidate, a former convicted murderer who turned his life around. When they rolled out him and 8 other candidates, he was missing. And the comment was, well, he's working, he's not here. And you would have thought that if you regarded it as a positive thing, and I'm not saying one way or the other, whether it isn't, I'm all in favor of someone who can rehabilitate and turn their lives around. Absolutely. I mean, you've had members of parliament who've done that. Rolf Commission comes to mind, and the late Sean Crockwell, a good friend of mine and former colleague. But you have to get out front on that and do it early rather than be on the back foot. And I thought, when that came out as a news story, I thought, well, they've handled that very badly. You know, if you thought that this person was going to make a positive contribution, it was be upfront about it. Don't get yourself on the back foot. And so that is not just a question of PR messaging, but a question of a leadership decision. Similarly, with the selection of Michael Fay, I mean, that could have been handled a lot better and a lot differently than it was at the time and has been to date. Mm. Whether that would turn anything around, I don't know. But it's important you stand up.
Yeah. Let's. I want to keep going, sticking with Michael Fay and why people seem so, I guess, disgusted or he's so unpopular with non-OBA supporters is the whole pathways to status immigration thing. The PLP have said that what they're offering is different simply because, you know, they're not offering PRCs the right to vote and the opportunity to buy as much land as they want. That's what they claim are the biggest differences. As a former MP and someone who loves Bermuda, right? Although we've got 2 different Eastern County teams, your flats on Baylor's Bay. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, but you got it right.
Where do you stand on growing the population of Bermuda?
Well, I think we have to. There's no question that we need inward investment. But here's the issue. I think this is what it comes down to, and what people are going to decide on and what they're being asked to decide on. Who do you trust to do it? It's always the case in politics here. Who do you think will have your back when a decision is made to move in this direction? And that's that's more a feeling than it is an actual, this is the program, this is how we'll do it. And I think I've always thought, even when I was in opposition in the legislature, that the Progressive Labor Party is the best party to move this forward if they develop the will to move it forward. And I remember when Paula Cox, I think when she was Minister of Immigration, introduced the permanent certificate, but residency certificate. And it went down without great controversy. Meanwhile, those of us in the UBP were, wrestling with, should we do this? Can we do that? Will people accept if we do it? But the Progressive Labor Party was able to do it. And I think the profound difference was, and this is my humble opinion, people were more likely to trust the Progressive Labor Party with this hot issue than they were the United Bermuda Party. Yeah. Why? Because they felt they had their backs. And that's going to be an issue in this election too. Who do you think has our backs with all that we're facing? And who can deliver as well, of course.
Indeed, indeed. Audience, again, if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Barritt, please send them through. We'll definitely do our best to get through as many comments as possible. We've got Michael Daniels. He's saying, and I think this is regarding your comments earlier regarding the president of the U.S. But he says, does Bermuda need to develop additional supply chain connections?
It's always, yes, is a short answer. Always good to have a plan B.
Okay. Let's go to Charles H. Jeffers II. He's asking, since leaving politics, it appears that you are objective in your views. If you were still in politics, do you think you would be able to be public with your objectivity if it was against party line?
I'd like to think I would be, Charles, and I like to think when I was in Parliament that I spoke even-handedly and fairly, and I didn't indulge in a lot of party excess. I think you'll find with my record, I was a person who tried to not cross the floor, but work across the floor in developing more committees so that we could operate by consensus and roll up our sleeves together. And I did that in a couple of instances. The public wouldn't necessarily know about it. It isn't sexy. It isn't exciting. It isn't controversial. And so I'd like to think that I would be the same as I am now. But there's one of the things about life and being in politics. You live and you learn, and experience is a great teacher. So I'd like to think that yes, is the answer to that question. And in fact, if I may, Jamal, Charles asked this question, with all the candidates we have now, it may be that we will look back on this and see it as a tipping point. It may not be that any independents will get elected necessarily. There's a possibility in one or two cases it might happen, depending on how hard they've worked on the ground. But here's the thing, with all these candidates, it's popping up as independents. I think it's shown that people are starting to move away from the strict party constrictors. People are getting a little fed up with that, with politics. For instance, when there are decisions made and they're controversial, I'll give you an example. We've picked on the OBA, let's pick on the PLP now. Young Ariana Hodgson looked and may still be a rising star, not only in the PLP, but in politics locally. 1 minute she's a candidate, the next minute she's not, and replaced at the last minute. What happened there? What is the future for Ariana Hodgson? And the stock answer coming back is, we do not comment publicly on internal political matters. And people don't like internal political party matters when it's something about which they want to know and they think is of importance.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. I think this is politics. It's public. It's in the best interest of the public to know. For me, that shouldn't be seen as an internal matter. If she was a candidate for the public and now she's not, I think we deserve to know why she's been replaced by this now candidate who I don't know. So I agree with you on that.
Particularly in that constituency where she may have already been canvassed and she was being held out as the best hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Audience, any more questions and comments? Mr. Barritt, you just kind of spoke on the election. You believe one or two independents may win or whatnot. But if you were to make a prediction on this day for the upcoming general election, what would it be?
Can I just back up and say I'm going to answer the question, But there have been no polls yet. Normally we see polls, and maybe the parties have them, so we don't know what the general trend is. So you go back to past numbers and past elections, and I kind of discount 2020 because of the COVID. I thought the Progressive Labor Party under Premier Burke and Health Minister Wilson performed really well. You may disagree with what they decided to do, but we were dealing with an unknown, and they were definitive and they were strong. So I discount 2020. You go back to 2012, and you say, well, what are the seats there that the OBA won in order to form the government? Narrowly, it was 1917. And is there a prospect that they can do it again? And I think there are some seats there that the OBA may be able to claw back. But coming into this election now, even before it was called and since it's been called, I can see the PLP losing some seats, but I don't see them losing the government. The unknown factor here is how the independents will do. And I think as we get closer to the date, how people vote will start to firm up, and they may come down as they usually do. It's either this party or that party, because there's no question that the independents have an uphill road to hoe. Independence does mean that you're independent and you think for yourself, but people by and large recognize that at the end of the day, you've got to have some cohesion. You've got to have some cooperation. You've got to have some sort of team in order to run the country. I mean, anybody can get elected, anybody does, but not everybody can run the government. And that's going to be an issue that I think people are going to be focusing in on more and more. Now, people may feel in some areas, they say, I've had enough of party politics. I don't care whether it's him or her or you, which party or whatever. It's time to change things up. And that's a little bit of what happened in the United States, Jamal. Let's face it. Why Trump is so popular with people you would have thought would have voted otherwise. But people are fed up, and so it goes. And it may be a factor here, but it's still 13 days to go. Don't start counting your chickens just yet.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, because I thought of that last week. I said, there's been no polls. And what you said, I hope people understand what you said, is maybe the parties have done them, but those polls are not looking favorable, so they haven't shared the results publicly, right?
They rarely do, though.
They always get out. They will get out somehow, sometimes.
And let me tell you, when I was in the United Bermuda Party and running in elections, they give us polls. They usually told you what they thought you wanted to hear. You can massage results. The interesting ones to go by sometimes are the independent ones. I say independent in quotation marks. The Royal Gazette have them from time to time, but even they have been wrong. And Bermudians tend to be overpolled and have been in the past. And again, they sometimes tell people what they think they want to hear.
I stopped trusting polls a long time ago. I understand the statistics. I get it.
But they are a factor. They are something to take into account when you're making your assessment. But I'm always driven back to the numbers. And then what are the constituencies that might be picked off? Like, for instance, can I just pick one?
Yes, sir.
Go back to 2012, where the OBA, which ones did they won some narrowly?
Constituency 2. That was one.
Yeah, that's right, by 4 votes.
Yep.
Now you got to say, well, that's got to be a swing constituency. But then the PLP, when Kim Swan went PLP, was no longer an independent. They won by 400.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to regard that as a swing seat. But there are some in Warwick that I think where number 25, for instance, was won by the OBA by 150 votes in 2012. But then it was won by the PLP in 2020 by just 45 votes.
Right.
So these are the ones, if you've got a strong candidate and they canvass, because I know people say policies are important, but so is the human touch.
Yeah.
I found that from my days. People want to see you, and people say, well, I've had town hall meetings, I was at the supermarket. That don't count. I got to tell you, in my book, people want to, if they want to see you, if they want to see you on their terms, not on your terms. And their terms means you go in the house and you talk about the bread and butter issues. And people are wise enough around in Bermuda. They know you're not going to solve every problem.
Yeah.
But is your heart in the right place? Are you going to have my back? Do you respect me? Will you come back and tell me this, that, and the other? And in a place like Bermuda, where their average 1,200 voters per constituency, that counts for a lot, man. It counts for a lot, particularly in close races.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting election either way.
You used that word, interesting.
I sure did. But in saying that, though, I mean, Mr. Barritt, this is a time where we really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember 2012, and even some OBA supporters didn't think they had a chance of winning, right? Because of the way the constituencies were set up. And all it takes is people not to go to the polls at this point for it to be a close election. People, you saw what Simone shared, people are hopeless. What would you say to Bermudians who just feel like they can't trust anyone when it comes to politics? Like, regardless of who I vote for, it's not going to change anything. There are a lot of people who just aren't sure if they're going to participate. If they participate, they may spoil their ballots. What would you say to those people?
That's a good and a tough question, Jamal. If I was running, of course, I'd be convincing them that their vote counts, and it's important that they get out and vote and make a statement. And generally speaking, that's true. But people, you make a statement too by not voting, and that happened in the 2012 election when PLP supporters, particularly, didn't come out. They didn't feel they could support the OBA necessarily, but they weren't going to put the vote. They give their X to their member, who was PLP. And that was particularly true, I think, in the constituency. The number escapes me right now, but it was, I think, Devonshire West, Paula Cox and Glenn Smith, which was the big surprise of the 2012 election. But Glenn Smith had worked it hard. I know that as a fact because it was part of my old constituency, and he spoke to me, and in fact asked me to help him on occasion. And I could tell that the wind was shifting. And people do make a statement even when they don't vote. And every election, of course, is crucial. The future's at stake and so forth and so on. But I implore people, I invite people to do what they think is right, but not to completely ignore what's at stake and who they have to choose from. And of course, they have more to choose from in some constituencies. I say there are only 8 with 2. And most of those are pretty straightforward, so-called safe seats, I think. It's the others where your vote is and can be crucial. But there's no question we need a change in Bermuda. And sorry, I'm going to go on my hobby horse, what I've always tried to promote. It's change in the way we govern ourselves, the way in which we relate to each other in governance and in politics. Man, the 1968 model, okay, in 1968 it was a big step, but we really haven't progressed. We really haven't matured in the apparatus and the mechanisms that we employ to govern this country. And in 20 square miles, with our limited population, why do we waste time, energy, and people on things that really don't advance or help the country? I'm sorry. I'm a man who believes you gotta try collaboration. You gotta try cooperation, particularly when I know from my own experience that I have as much in common with members in the PLP. In fact, I have some good friends on that side because we see eye to eye on some issues. But yet, party politics and publicly doesn't require us to show that. Well, those days got to be over. The world is changing, and we need to change as well.
Yeah. One last question before you head out, because you make a lot of sense. I know Teo was fond of you back in the day, and many people I know were, but race has always found its way into politics, especially as we get close to an election. You mentioned, from 1968 to now, has there really been any progression in terms of it? How do we move past the race-based politics in Bermuda, or do we not?
I think it's happening on the ground, It's not helped by the fact that over the years, over generations, neighborhoods have grown up that are black and neighborhoods that have grown up that are white. But we see change in schools, I think now, certainly in sport, and also in some churches. Although again, churches are traditionally black and churches traditionally white, but there's some change going on there. And also, I think in relationships as well, we see some development. So things are happening on the ground. They're not translating and not yet filtered up, I think, to the political level. And in order to do that, again, I go back and I sound like a broken record. I don't mean to, but you've got to put in place mechanisms and apparatus that don't just allow people of different color and people of different races to work together. You got to put it in place. It's required. That's the way we operate. That becomes standard operating procedure around here. When you have oversight, let's say, of a particular ministry or ministries, got to be members on both sides. It's got to be public as well, transparent, so people can see this happening. And you've got to change the culture in order not only to allow this, but to require it to happen. And I think we may see some change, but we've got the weight of history on our backs in terms of the way it developed under the United Bermuda Party. The PLP were treated as a very poor stepchild in politics from 68 up until, probably the 80s or so, that these people aren't capable of governing was generally the message that was given. And it's not a good one, because there were people on that side who were capable. There were people on that side the UBP would have been happy to have in their party ranks. But yet we did this because it furthered the achievement of getting into power. And that does not and has not served the country well. It has simply, played on and cemented division. And we need to start to undo that politically. And that's why I think their independence have some traction, Jamal. It's a feeling, it's a desire, it's an expression of a want. But whether that can run a country, I mean, here's the question a lot of people ask, and it's one I asked back in the day when the UBP was there and the BDA had formed, and we had finished second and third in a by-election when Dr. Brown had stepped down. I said to him, you want to say to people that we'll work together after the election? Why should people believe that? If you can't work together and sort things out before an election, there's no reason to believe it'll happen after election. And I think that's a fair question to ask when you look at in the newspaper today. I think in the news, a call for unity in the opposition. And there was one before the election. When I say the opposition, I mean the independents and the OBA, and nothing's happened. So maybe there'll be people say, well, they'll be forced to work together if they're elected, and they need the independence to form a government. Well, good luck with that, because as I was having a conversation the other day, that's not going to be easy too, because what you're going to do is give a few people a lot of power, and what ends up happening is the tail wags the dog, and it may not work again for the country.
Indeed. Thank you for that. One last question from the audience. Charles H. Jefferson II, he's asking, does Mr. Barritt believe that Bermudians living overseas should have an opportunity to vote in Bermuda, not just students?
Let me see if I can break this down very quickly. The answer is not if you're living overseas and that's now your residence in your home and you're living and paying taxes there. I think people should have the right an absentee ballot, and students are top of this list, because you are ordinarily resident in Bermuda. This is your home. And it only so happens that you're working overseas on temporary assignment, or you're a student, that you're not here when the elections call. Those are the first people who we should be addressing in any legislation to give a vote. If a Bermudian's moved overseas and living overseas for 10, 15, 20 years, this isn't their home anymore. Yes, we're all proud to be a Bermudian, but you're not living here, you're not paying taxes. And in what constituency would you vote? You can't pick and choose what constituency you can vote in as well.
I think that's actually fair. As someone who they removed, I think what you just said is fair, because I think my challenge with it is being removed from the registry, but I can name 10 Bermudians who've lived outside of Bermuda longer than me, who don't visit, have no connection with the island, but are still on the registry in their last living address. So my challenge is, we don't even keep track of who's emigrated, like left Bermuda. So how can you justify that person's ordinarily a resident, but I'm not? I think my problem is more or less.
You can't justify it. But here's what's supposed to happen. And I did it in my day. You'd knock on doors, you're canvassing now, and not just at election time, but and I suddenly noticed that there are people registered this house, or two sets of people who are registered, two families registered the house, and you find out that one has left Bermuda or moved to another constituency. You then go to the parliamentary registrar and you say, this family needs to be removed, or these people need to be removed. Of course, the registrar won't do it automatically, but they investigate, they find out what's happened. And if you're not living in that residence, you lose your vote. You come off the register. That's the way the system works. Of course, it don't always work that way, because A, people aren't canvassing that thoroughly, or B, and this happens too, oh, I know those people, they vote my party, and they stay on. But that's the duty of the parliamentary registrar.
Yeah. Charles H. F. Second, follow up to that, said I would love to see a representative for all Bermudians living outside of Bermuda. And he'd love to have this conversation with you, he says. As I think Charles is someone who lived outside of Bermuda for a very long time. And I think this is his, not first election, but he didn't vote until recently. So I think that's a very personal one for him.
Yeah, certainly it can be put on the table, because there'll have to be some, I think even the constitutional order of Bermuda talks about people are ordinarily resident here to have a vote. So you can certainly put it on the table, and can be on the table and can be discussed. But I think never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I'd start to do what needs to be done immediately, which is an absentee ballot for people who are ordinarily resident here, but happen to be away because they are on an assignment, work assignment, or they're in studies. Indeed. But otherwise, this is their home.
Indeed. Mr. Barritt, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll be in touch. We definitely have a lot more to discuss, probably post-election as well. We've got the CIT, immigration, depth, healthcare. It's so much more. We can keep going, but obviously we're out of time. But thank you so much for making time for us. And let's keep in touch.
You're very welcome, Jamal. As you probably gathered, I enjoy it. I used to be in my first career was journalism, and I moved from print to broadcasting, and I loved it, the duck to water, and so I enjoy it.
So I'm going to put you on the spot right now then. Mr. Barritt, we already have two former, one being a premier and one a former EVP MP who have committed to being a part of our broadcast on election night. Would you be open to joining us on election night?
You got it covered, but yes, I'd be open. But sounds like you got balance here already. There.
Well, we're looking for as many people as possible with experience to understanding how elections work. So we'd be honored to have you join us at some point on election night.
All right,
we'll be in touch.
I'd be happy to do so.
All right, sir. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Mr. Barritt.
You're very welcome, Jamal. Enjoyed it. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. That was John Barritt, former member of parliament. Wow, you all love Mr. Barritt. We've got Traveling Trotty says, I really appreciate Mr. Barrett's comments this morning. Thank you. We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He says, Mr. Barritt, thank you for coming on today. This has been interesting. Well, Suzanne, come on, I think he's married now. No, I'm joking. She's got hearts for Mr. Barritt. We've got, well, they're excited. He said he'd join election night. We've got a woohoo. We've got from Traveling Trotty. We've got a yes from Charles H. Jeffers. Second, we've got an awesome from Sheikha Reyna. And Media Maya, my good colleague, says, yes, I was going to say bring him back. That was a great convo, great insight, of course. And I'm grateful. I have a joke about Ms. Barritt. I didn't give you a political joke. I have a joke. So I reached out to Mr. Barritt on Facebook. And you all know, I don't write inboxes to people. But so I forget that I write people on Facebook. Then I don't go on for a couple of days. So when I went on, I saw a response from Mr. Barritt. He says, hey, Jamal, just seeing this. I didn't know if it was spam or not. And I was like, no, it's really me. It's really me. But it's funny because whenever I get a message on Facebook, because no one, I don't communicate with people, I always think it's spam too. It's serious. But anyone, I say this. If I'm ever trying to contact you, Facebook is my last resort. That means I have no other way of contacting you. And if you're ever trying to contact me, my email, jamal@bermudacommunications.com, the best way to get me. All right. We're going to take a final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up. Stick with us. We'll be back in 1 minute, 40 seconds. I'll give you a daily play as well. You all better get this one right. In the meantime, whatever platform you're on, make sure you give us a like, a love, a follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Stick with us. See you on the other end of this.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Hey, buddy. Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lewis Brown Evans? Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia. Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia. All volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to John Barritt, former member of Parliament, for joining us this morning on the Daily Hour. I also want to give a shout out to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for their continuous support of these regular community conversations. Remember, Mr. Barritt was the first interim leader of the One Bermuda Alliance. If you have Bermuda trivia, if you watch this show for the Daily Play, you better not get that question wrong, because you will be judged. All right, it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, it's music today. Has nothing to do with Bermuda. All right. She is known as one of the most iconic voices on planet Earth. I want you to finish this for me. In her hit song, who does Whitney Houston want to dance with? NTS is too good. All of you. All of you got it. NTS, Charles, Nicole, Renee, Sheikah, Karen, Traveling, Trotty. Somebody says Maya. You all showed up. Everybody, somebody. Yeah, I thought somebody was going to say everybody or nobody, but you all said somebody. There we go. You all know your music. You know your music. All right, time to wrap it up, though. I want to say this regarding the earlier conversation and the question of the morning, which was very simple. What would you like to see done prior to Election Day? I'm a bit different from most people. And I know even Mr. Barritt said it, that being out on the doorstep it's an important part of the political process, engaging your constituents. I'm a bit different because while I appreciate the ability of those seeking our vote coming to our doorstep, coming into our space on our terms and talking with us, I also want to see them during the period that they're elected, doing the works and me feeling the work, where they don't have to tell me what they've done or what they're doing for me. What I'd like to see before Election Day is things that we should have been seeing since the last election. The roads paved should have been done. I don't want us to live like this. It's like, you know, one of my mentors said, one thing that really makes him sad is we always live for the next holiday. Oh, I can't wait to Bermuda Day. I can't wait to Cop Match. I can't wait to Christmas. And we fail to live in between these times. I don't want this to be our reality as it relates to politics. The work need not rely on an election, because at that point, it's not about the people. It's about the politician. As far as who you decided, have you decided to vote or not? Again, I'll say this much. If anyone who is seeking election in this upcoming general election, if anyone's seeking your vote, regardless of whether you said yes or no, there's still an opportunity. And I hope that for anyone who's running in this election and who tuned in for this show this morning, takes the opportunity to not only speak with those who said no, they've not decided, but to understand those who have said that they have. There's lessons in both. The conversation with Mr. Barritt this morning, refreshing. I quite enjoyed it. And I'm happy that we were connected on Facebook to the point that we can engage in this manner with you all. I also want to give props. I haven't put on the spot as much on the show like I would do Maya, but give props to Simone for making these conversations happen, for arranging these guests so that you all can engage with the people like Mr. Barritt and the Tiffany Painters and the Robin Talkers who have all been on this week on a regular basis. This is the Daily Hour, Bermuda's only, let me be clear, Bermuda's only dedicated talk show on a daily basis. There's no music to distract us. This is straight conversation. This is not a podcast. Let me be clear. This is not a podcast. This is a talk show that is live for you to be able to engage with people who you only normally see or read about in the news. I just want to say that. But I have to give you some daily inspiration now. Here's your daily inspiration for the day, and it's from Malcolm X. Quote, "I'm for truth no matter who tells it. I'm for justice no matter who it is for or against. I'm a human first and foremost. And as such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole," end quote. I think that's what we got from Mr. Barritt today. I am grateful that he gave us the time and chose to engage all of you on this talk show. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I am Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izzo. Peace.